Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Audrey Williams, and it is a truly great day for the incredible lineup of information and inspiration we have planned just for you. First, let's go straight to the newsroom for the latest updates, and we'll be right back.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Friday, November 21, 2025. Updated assessments for the physical damage caused by Hurricane Melissa reveal that the figure is about 41% of Jamaica's gross domestic product (GDP) for the last fiscal year. Assessments are still underway, but newly revealed estimates from the World Bank is a staggering $8.8 billion, with the economic fallout yet to be calculated. The figure was presented by Country Director for the Caribbean countries at the World Bank, Lilia Borunchiuk, during a media briefing at Jamaica House on Wednesday. She described the scale of destruction as unprecedented and stressed that recovery would require a massive, coordinated national effort.
This number assumes only physical damage. The economic damage will, of course, be also large, and often from our experience, it's even larger than the physical damage. But this will be estimated later when the dollar assessment is completed. Parishes of St. Elizabeth, St. James, Westmoreland experienced the worst damage, and these three parishes account for a total of $5.5 billion, or 63% of the country's total damage.
The World Bank's assessment focused on four categories: residential, non-residential, infrastructure, and agriculture. It found that damage to residential buildings amounts to $3.7 billion, while non-residential buildings is $1.8 billion. Infrastructure damage is about $2.9 billion, while the agriculture sector is dealing with $389 million in loss.
The total estimated damages exceed any recent historical event. This means that the recovery will be an enormous and long-term task. It will require a well-coordinated strategic approach to ensure speed, efficiency, and transparency, and a whole of society effort from local institutions, the private sector, and from communities.
The government is now transitioning from aid delivery to economic reactivation as it focuses on re-establishing the traditional supply chain in the affected zones. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says entities to be assisted include retailers, small shops, local distributors, and private logistics providers. Support will be in the form of microgrants and working capital support for small businesses to restock.
Minister Hill has been tasked with doing this. He has so far identified 48 business entities in 2 of the affected parishes. They're seeking to expand that rapidly. And we will, through the program that I have announced, provide through a loan the facility. These are profit-making entities, the facility for them to stand up their operations so that they can have electricity, they could get a refrigerator, we could help them with a Starlink, or maybe their roof is off, we could help them restart. So there is that facility where it's either a grant or a loan, and that is being worked out.
Dr. Holness provided the details during a comprehensive update on Hurricane Melissa recovery efforts on Wednesday. He also stressed that the government was looking to restore purchasing power in affected commercial zones. This will be done through mechanisms such as digital payments and cash transfer systems, as well as vouchers for food and other essentials. Targeted support will be given for vulnerable households and displaced families. The government will be setting up a high-level public-private advisory board for the newly announced National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA. It will include persons from civil society, technical personnel, and multilateral and overseas partners.
It will be a multi-stakeholder board that will ensure that we are making the right decisions, there's transparency and accountability, but more importantly, in the info disaster that is going on, we will need voices other than the government to explain some of the decisions that we will have to make.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the government will also establish an inter-agency coordinating committee which will ensure that decisions are made swiftly by the heads of executing entities. International engineering, procurement, and construction and program management partners will also be engaged. The Prime Minister says NARA will serve as proof of concept for a more agile, performance-driven model of public administration.
The government will develop the program, they will carry it through some kind of public investment appraisal, and then they will go to procurement to find the contractor, and then they will find the contractor, then they end up into contracting, and then they start to do construction. What we want is to engage with one single entity that can take the entire project from an enterprise scale and deliver it.
The recently reopened cruise ship pier in Ocho Rios is poised to play a critical role in helping Jamaica recover economically from Hurricane Melissa. That's the position of Chairman of the Port Authority of Jamaica, PAJ, Alok Jain. The port had been out of full operation since February 2024, when a severe weather event caused a cruise ship to repeatedly collide with the berth, inflicting major structural damage and forcing its closure. Mr. Jain says the extensive rehabilitation that followed was not only aimed at restoring functionality, but also at increasing the port's resilience. This, he stresses, will be needed now, as areas like Ocho Rios must intensify efforts to stimulate economic activity as other parts of the island are being rehabilitated.
When Ocho Rios was down, a lot of the business from here went to Falmouth, right? And the Falmouth business picked up. Now it's flipped back the other way, right? So it shows the value in having diversity and having multiple ports, multiple berths. Every time we have damage as a result of weather event, we have to look to build back better and stronger.
Consumer prices rose by 0.7% in October 2025, according to new data from the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin. The agency says all prices were collected before Hurricane Melissa. The main driver of the increase was the food and non-alcoholic beverages category, which went up 1.5% due to higher prices for items such as sweet potato, tomato, carrot, and cabbage. The housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels category also rose by 0.8%, mainly because of higher electricity rates. But as petrol prices declined, the transport category fell by 0.3%. Statin says point-to-point inflation for October 2024 to October 2025 was 2.9%, influenced by increases in food, housing and utilities, and restaurant services. The Consumer Price Index, CPI, tracks changes in the average prices consumers pay for goods and services. The Ministry of Education is moving to rebuild the school stock stronger than before. The effort will place major emphasis on constructing more resilient facilities following the extensive damage to many schools during Hurricane Melissa. Portfolio Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon shared the update with JIS News during a recent tour of affected schools in Trelawney and St. James. She says the long-term strategy includes upgrading building standards, improving drainage systems, and reinforcing utility infrastructure to reduce future vulnerabilities and ongoing maintenance costs.
We cannot build back what we had before. It has to be better. We can't just put Band-Aids on. I'm not into the Band-Aids. It has to be a complete different look at our schools. We have to reimagine the schools. Because last year, some of the schools that I went to today were affected by Hurricane Beryl, and we spent millions of dollars fixing them. And then this year, we're back at it again.
In the meantime, the Education Minister is commending Ground Force Humanitarian Aid for delivering critical support to hard-hit communities in eastern St. James. The non-profit, which trains volunteers for natural disaster response, has been operating out of the Montego Bay Convention Center. Founder and Chief Executive Officer of Ground Force Humanitarian Aid, Rob Gaudette, says the group has been helping affected Jamaicans clean their homes and distributing a wide range of food items.
I want to say thank you for having us here in Jamaica to help. One of the things we do well is we call it the last mile. We're not skilled labor. You don't need a special skill to do what we do. We're doing things like cleaning up homes and packing food, and the last mile is the people where we look the victims in the eye, and we're providing, if nothing else, than a hug or a light or water. You don't need a skill to do that.
Minister Dana Morris Dixon thanked the group and, noting the involvement of young people in their work, called for greater youth involvement all across the recovery network, especially as the country celebrates November as Youth Month.
As a minister responsible for youth, it is so great to see these young people. They actually have jobs. They work in the hotel industry, and they come on their day off to help other Jamaicans who need that help. And that's how we are going to build our country. It's one young person at a time giving their service to those who need it most.
The Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, is calling on Jamaicans living on the eastern side of the island to begin exploring vertical and container farming as a sustainable way to boost food production. The call comes in response to widespread damage to major farming communities from Hurricane Melissa. Senior Plant Health and Food Safety Officer at RADA, Francine Webb, is urging residents in Kingston and eastern parishes to take proactive steps towards food self-sufficiency.
Everybody have to go back to planting something in your yard, because it's going to get a little tight before things get better. Container gardening is something that we have been pushing for a while as well. So you don't have the space, but you can do the thing on your backyard, on the back porch with containers in the yard as well. And so those are the things that we're gonna have to embrace more and more now, because we're gonna have to start doing something. Everybody has to start doing something.
And finally, Transport Minister Darrell Vaz is expressing deep sadness after a 10-year-old student died in an incident involving a JUTC bus. The incident took place in the Vineyard Town community on Thursday. In a statement, the minister says he has been in direct contact with the JUTC to ensure full support for the family and a thorough investigation. Minister Vaz offered condolences, saying the nation was mourning with the child's relatives, schoolmates, and teachers. He says the government remains committed to road safety and notes that all JUTC buses and drivers are trained to meet strict safety standards. Those systems, he says, will be fully reviewed as part of the probe. Minister Vaz is appealing for calm as the police continue their investigations. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
The shadows of October 28, 2025 still linger, the aftermath of Category 5 Hurricane Melissa. The powerful system made landfall in Jamaica, leaving a trail of devastation across the island. While every parish felt its force, the western end bore the brunt of the storm. Many residents are still without homes, vital infrastructure has been wiped out, and communities are struggling to rebuild. As a nation, we're all picking up the pieces together. Let us continue to stand united and support recovery efforts by donating through the country's official disaster relief and recovery portal at supportjamaica.gov.jm.
The ideas, customs, and social behavior of our people, in a word, our culture, is what gives us the perspective and strength to overcome whatever life throws at us. So, we're celebrating that cultural legacy. Up next, we explore the tangible and intangible aspects of our cultural heritage.
Our heritage, as one cultural expert puts it, is more than just old buildings or historical relics from the past. It is the living, breathing essence of who we are as a people. It is found in the customs we keep, the stories and the rhythms of our daily lives, shaped by past generations and guiding those yet to come.
In the Caribbean, we oftentimes see that past as something that, oh, bad things happen, but there's really good stuff. And if you go back even further, especially when it comes down to our food, it's even better stuff. So it's important in terms of our identity. But the other facet of it is that when you think about who you are, you also have to think about where am I going? Because in many respects, who you were informs what am I going to do next.
From the sunken ruins of Port Royal to the haunting beauty of Rose Hall, Jamaica's built heritage tells stories of endurance and rebirth. Monuments like Sam Sharp Square, Emancipation Park, and the birthplaces of icons such as Bob Marley and Claude McKay stand not only as reminders of our past, but as symbols of national pride and possibility.
Our built monuments are testament of where we're coming from, but they also say to us what it is that we can be.
Beyond stone and mortar lies Jamaica's intangible heritage, the cultural heartbeat that cannot be seen but is deeply felt. It lives in the rhythms of reggae, ska and mento, in the proverbs of our elders, and in the oral traditions that connect generations.
Our proverbs, you know, one of my favorite remains one cocoa full basket. And I use this one regularly, sometimes with even some of my students. Chicken Mary Heart in there, exam is just around the corner.
Even in the face of natural disasters, that spirit shines through in the music born out of struggle, from Hurricane Gilbert to more recently, Hurricane Melissa, reminding us that resilience is part of who we are. And then there's the food, a delicious symbol of how heritage is both tangible and intangible.
Some of us were formally trained in terms of cooking, but cooking and replicating those things, it came with a store of stories. I would stay in the kitchen with my aunt and chat, learning things from her, but watching what it is that she's doing, looking at the herbs, looking at the spices. So certainly cooking, and there's oral tradition part of it, and there's of course the very tangible thing, the eponymous Dutch pot or the Dutchie that we use to cook our food.
And above all, our resilience.
It is not uncommon to hear how strong we are under pressure, how well we do in other countries. So our intangible heritage is also that will to survive and to succeed above all.
Preserving that spirit means ensuring future generations know where they come from.
It is extremely important to pass heritage down to the next generation, because we want to ground our children, our grandchildren. We want them to remember who they are. In this world nowadays where everything is saturated, we're saturated with information coming from abroad. It's very easy to get caught up in other people's heritage and other people's culture. And so we have to make a more concerted effort to say, this is who we are, this is what we stand for, this is where we are going.
In the end, it is a message of pride and purpose.
I really hope that we get to learn a little bit more about who we are so that we can protect just that, who we are.
Jamaica's heritage endures in laughter, strength, and the spirit of its people. So, let's keep the flame alive. Future generations are depending on it.
In Jamaica, track and field isn't just a sport, it's a global dynasty. We've dominated the sprints, particularly the electrifying 100-meter, 200-meter, and the thrilling 4x100-meter relay, leaving a legacy of speed that is second to none. Today we're shining the spotlight on one of our legends, who's an inspiration on and off the track. Please watch.
You know, throughout my life, I've been through so much. A lot of people wouldn't think I'll reach here. My parents sacrificed a lot. And yes, unfortunately, my father isn't here to see what I'm going to get. But my mother is here and my other family.
On Heroes Day 2025, Johan Blake was awarded the Order of Distinction in the rank of Commander CD for his contribution to track and field and philanthropy in Jamaica. You may know him as the Beast, or the second fastest man in history, but behind the track and medals lies a heart rooted in humility, faith, and purpose. Born in the parish of St. James, Johan didn't grow up dreaming of Olympic lights and world championships. In fact, his first love wasn't even track and field at all.
Running wasn't my thing. You know, cricket was always my thing, and it's still my first love up to today.
But there was someone who saw something special within him, something that led to a different passion.
A principal, Mr. Uncle, you know, saw me running up to bowl and say, you know, I need to send that guy to St. Jago to Danny Arton. And from that day, he transferred me to St. Jago. And Danny Arton, you know, changed my life and get me into track and field.
Coach Danny Hawthorne remembers as if it was just yesterday.
My first meeting with Johan Blake was at primary all-day school championships at the National Stadium, where I went there for 2 days. The first day I saw him in the preliminaries. I think he came second in the preliminary, but his first 30 minutes was very appealing to me. And I watched him and said, this boy is going to be a good guy.
Before becoming a global name, and before he was known as the second fastest man in history, Johan was already turning heads. One moment stands out.
I could remember clearly, and my first race was at JC. It wasn't the track at the time, it was on grass. You know, I run the hurdles, I run 400, I run 100, I run 200. You know, because they test me out in different events, and didn't like the hurdles. It wasn't my thing. The 4 wasn't my thing, and I run a personal best 1089 on the grass, and you know, in a big spikes as well. The spikes wasn't my size, and you know, from there everything kind of changed. The coach saw the potential and said, okay, we're going to work with this young man.
And that decision paid off. Since starting his professional career in 2009, Johan Blake has become a double Olympic gold and silver medalist, as well as a 2-time world champion. He held the Jamaican national junior 100 meters record for 7 years and is one of only 3 sprinters to break the 10-second barrier before turning 20. At just 21 years old, he became the youngest 100-meter champion in history. In 2011, he clocked 19.26 seconds in the 200 meters, the second fastest time ever. A year later, at the London Olympics, he ran 9.69 in the 100 meters, cementing his place on the world stage.
In 2011, when I made that breakthrough, becoming the youngest and still the 100-meter world champion, you know, it opened doors. So opening that doors allowed me to create this foundation where I know where I was coming from, where there was no food, hardly. And my mother, when she get a little money, sometimes we don't even go to school because we need that money to cook some food.
Those early struggles planted the seed for something greater. Off the track, he turned his attention to something even more important than winning medals: philanthropy. Giving back through his Why Be Afraid Foundation, a sanctuary for children in need.
We have the future to protect, and the future to protect is the young ones. And that's why I've adopted 3 homes in Jamaica: the Mount Olivet, in Mandeville, the Pringles home in St. Mary, and the Garland home, which is in Montego Bay, that we've done a lot of work with. I decided to nurture the next future.
Through his foundation, Johan is providing much more than inspiration. At Mount Olivet Boys Home, he founded a sports complex, a multi-story dormitory, and a football turf. Established in 1967, it currently houses boys between 12 and 17 years of age.
Johan Blake, through his Why Be Afraid Foundation, has adopted the home since 2011, and he has been a beacon to us. As a matter of fact, The building in the background that you're looking at is donated by the Why Be Afraid Foundation. Apart from the facility he has provided, he continues to provide programs for the boys. So he would have them involved in health and wellness. He would have provided educational program because he had drummers, an instructor who does drumming. And when you beat the drum, it's an outlet for the boys.
For Johan, this work is guided by something deeper.
The Bible says it's easy for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the gate of heaven. So if I can do all of that, that's what I'm going to do. If I can create a world where I try to get each and everyone at work, that's what I have to do.
In a world where fame often fades fast, Johan's impact remains not just through sprinting, but through a consistent commitment to helping others.
Johan, you have done great. Keep on doing good. Remember, you always say, God is love. Keep on saying it. God always loves you.
With all he's achieved, he's still dreaming of family, new adventures, and yes, cricket.
I'm just excited about what next. Starting a family, go around doing more charity work around the world, not just only in Jamaica, but I have to make sure I take care of home first. So that's what's in the pipeline, do a little bit of commentary and cricket because I always want to do that, bowling Shane and all those things, yeah.
Congratulations, Mr. Blake, on this well-deserved award.
For contribution to athletics in the area of track and field and for philanthropy.
Congratulations, Mr. Blake. Thank you for all you have done for us.
This is the mantra of superstar athlete and the second fastest man in history over the 100 and 200 meters.
Thank you, Government of Jamaica, for this prestigious award. It really means a lot.
Johan Blake, a man whose legacy will be measured not only by how fast he ran, but by how deeply he cared.
Following the heavy rains and flooding from Hurricane Melissa, the Ministry of Health and Wellness has sounded the alarm. Over 11 cases of leptospirosis have been confirmed on the western side of the island. This is a serious threat we all need to understand. What is leptospirosis? Simply put, leptospirosis is a bacterial disease that targets both people and animals. It often spikes dramatically after natural disasters like floods, when contaminated water pools in our communities, forcing people to wade through it. Improperly stored water for drinking, washing, and other domestic use may also become contaminated. How can it be transmitted? The critical part to remember is that it's primarily spread through the urine of infected animals, which are common in our environment. Think rodents, livestock, and dogs. How does it enter the body? People get infected when they come in contact with water, soil, or animal fluids that have been contaminated, especially after heavy rains or flooding. The bacteria is opportunistic, so it enters the body through cuts or abrasions on the skin or through the eyes, nose, or mouth. The other thing to know is leptospirosis can be tricky because its early symptoms often mimic a bad case of the flu. And so, if you've been exposed to floodwaters or potentially infected animals and you develop flu-like symptoms, do not wait. See a healthcare provider immediately. That's where we close today's program. I hope you've been informed, inspired, and uplifted. Join us again tomorrow for another engaging edition of Jamaica Magazine, right here on this station. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recap and many more great stories at jis.gov.jm. I'm Audrey Williams. Thanks for watching, and as always, walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.